Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into a little NFL stadium comparison where I will be comparing the four most recent NFL stadiums to open: US Bank Stadium, home of the Minnesota Vikings; Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of the Atlanta Falcons; SoFi Stadium, home of both the Rams and the Chargers; and then Allegiant Stadium, home to the new Las Vegas Raiders. All of these opening within the past 6 years. 3 of them are closed, fully closed roofs with kind of, see-through roofing. That's the new style within the NFL. And then Mercedes-Benz is kind of the same way, although they do have that cool retractable circle in the middle. But all of the stands do have roofing around Mercedes-Benz. So we're just going to go one at a time, look at all 4 of these, and then I'm going to kind of give my thoughts on which one I think is the best. So first, looking at SoFi Stadium, this is the stadium that I consider to be the Costco of NFL facilities. It is just huge. Not saying it looks like a factory, but there's not a lot of character to this. It's industrial-like. That's the vibe I get from it, kind of like a Costco facility or a factory or something. But it does have a nice exterior with water right in the front of it. Kind of looking at the aerial shots of it, almost looks like a Tesla factory from up above if you look at it. As you can see, the roof, it's got that see-through glass. Again, that is what a lot of the newer stadiums are doing because they want to have the ability to host other events while also not having that dome dampness feel. They want to let the natural light in, but they also want a controlled overall environment. There's really not a ton in terms of just looking at the way the seating is. Like there's not a lot of uniqueness to it. It's just a wall of seats. There's just, looking at this, there's a ton of seats. I'll say the most unique fact about it is the waterfall located just right outside, which is a nice touch. This, I believe, cost $5 billion, which is crazy because in comparison, Allegiant Stadium, the Vegas new stadium, cost $2 billion. So this was $3 billion more. And overall, I mean, it is nice, very high tech, very state of the art. The scoreboard is an interesting configuration, kind of a ring circle going around with both sides viewable. So, and that is home to both the Chargers and the Rams, which, by the way, also kind of takes away from the uniqueness of it because it's home to 2 different teams. Normally, we equate to like a certain vibe of a stadium with a team. Like the Superdome, we know the Saints. When there's a game going on every week, whether the Chargers are at home or the Rams are at home, it almost becomes more like a neutral type feel. It's kind of like the Rose Bowl. Like the Rose Bowl is home to UCLA, but the vibe of it is just, outside of the Rose Bowl actually happening, the vibe of the overall stadium, it's just really not there. It's like this stadium was built for huge events, is what I'm trying to say, rather than regular season games, which is a bit of an issue because 90% of what it's going to be hosting is regular season NFL games. Maybe they'll have Rams playoff games, Chargers playoff games, but it's definitely more of a neutral vibe, and it doesn't help that this is LA. It's a great vacation spot. If the Cowboys are playing the Chargers in LA, you're going to get tons of Cowboys fans, and also you had the Chargers moving from San Diego. The Chargers fan base in LA is not as strong, so overall it kind of creates a more neutral vibe. Moving on to Allegiant Stadium. So this is the one that I call the Death Star. I love the exterior. It is just a circle, but it is just a big, just mass, kind of looks like a spaceship, the exterior of it overall, and I love the lighting around it. The overall darkness of it is cool. Looking on the inside, pretty standard build. The Tennessee Titans interior is, if you actually look up the Titans' new stadium, very similar to what the alignment is in terms of the seating with how big the upper deck is and the lower bowl combined with the upper bowl. The nicest feature of this, I would say, is the torch, although I'll be honest, I don't think they did a real good job of detailing the torch because it is kind of a big part of the stadium, and I never see it get shown on TV. Maybe that's because I'm watching the Red Zone or whatever, but it seems like they never show it, and I'm like, wow, that is pretty huge. But looking at it from overhead in Vegas, I just think the exterior is so beautiful. It really is an imposing place, and it fits the overall Raiders vibe really well. You know, anytime you get a team that moves, it's tough. But Vegas will be getting probably an MLB team within the coming years, very likely the Athletics, and then an NBA team very likely by 2027 or 2028. They already got an NHL team. They already got an NFL team. So the full sports experience will be coming to Vegas, and a lot of people don't like that because it's a vacation spot similar to LA where, you know, you're not going to get a lot of diehard fans, but we know there are a lot of true Raiders fans living in and around the Nevada area. Of course, a lot of them still being in Oakland. It also does have a pretty massive window that I believe opens in front of the big torch on the one end zone of the stadium. And it also, actually, you know what? When it comes to the roofing, I'm not sure if sunlight comes through. It might very faintly come through, but I don't see sun ever reflecting on the field during a day game when the Raiders play. So it must be really faint, but I do think it is kind of yeah, you see how the roof is. I'm not a fan of that design, personally, where it's like completely walled off from the sky and you can't see it. But either way, I mean, this is Vegas. They're going to make it how they want to make it. The overall capacity of this is 5,000 less than SoFi. SoFi has 70K. Allegiant Stadium, which will be hosting the Super Bowl in 2023, February 2023, which is next year. The capacity of it is 65K. Both of those roofs are closed. The SoFi one, though, does have a glass ceiling, which makes the sun be able to reflect. Moving to the next one, it is Mercedes-Benz Stadium opening in 2017. This is the one retractable stadium of all of these four modern facilities. And I gotta say, I'm just gonna, preface this. When you look at the renderings of the roof, we know how cool it is. But guys, let's be honest with ourselves. When we finally saw this thing go up and we saw the way the roof looked, it looked better in the renderings. Let's just call it what it is. Like, we saw it and it's just like, well, it's just a little depressing. I don't know. I don't know if I'm the only one that thought that. But when we saw the renderings, we were looking at a UFO, spaceship, crazy. Look at the way it's opening. It's like a weird clock configuration. And then, I don't know, they built it, and it's just like, it's still cool, don't get me wrong. That's a pretty cool scoreboard that goes around where the retractable roof is. The other thing to note, their seating arrangement is extremely, extremely bland to Mercedes-Benz. It's very bland. And they have to do it because this is technically, even though this is the only retractable roof we're looking at, the way the retractable roof is made to where only the center is actually retractable, this is kind of more closed in than any of the other three ultra-modern ones, just from the roof configuration because of the design of the way they had to make the roof and make it retractable. So if you take the roof off, it's a very bland looking seating arrangement, and they had to do that on purpose because, they had to fit all the seats in to almost a closed off stadium. This was their other design that they were contemplating going with. It looks like a greenhouse. I do like it. I'm not going to lie. I like the overall design of it. But it does maybe look a little bit too much like a greenhouse. So that is the Falcons, Mercedes-Benz. They host a ton of college football crap. They host the SEC championship. It seems like every other year at least they're getting a playoff semifinal game at Mercedes-Benz, and it's mostly Georgia football games. You know, they played like 3 of them there within the past year. And then looking at the 4th and final ultra-modern NFL stadium, another fixed closed roof, the Minnesota Vikings US Bank Stadium, opening in 2016 with a capacity right around 66,000. Beautiful job on this stadium. Really great exterior. Really great job to let the natural light in. This is Minneapolis. I'm sure people have opinions on if it should be an open stadium or there should be a roof, but I mean, they completely eliminate that by making it a controlled environment. You know, Minneapolis, those last 4 or 5 weeks of the regular season, it is no joke with how cold it is outside, and they just make, you know, they're all about the fan experience, so they end up completely making it a controlled environment. Again, they do something really cool with this, where they will kind of illuminate purple lights on the interior at night, and I just love the vibe of it. I think it looks very cool when it comes to the interior. They've got a nice feature there, the overall horn, but I will say that's kind of a, you know, just kind of an accessory. That's not really a huge thing in the stadium. Their greatest feature, I would say, is the massive windows that open up on the sides. During like September games when it's nice out, they can open up the windows. That is probably their best feature when it comes to that. Also, they have baseball. So the Minnesota baseball, college baseball team plays there, and you can see that. A lot of people going to those games. But overall, this is a design that if Minnesota would have went with this design, I mean, we're talking about the best stadium in history here. We really are. I mean, that design is amazing, but they decided not to go with it. And it's still a great stadium, but it's just, I don't know. Either way, that is US Bank Stadium. If I had to rank all 4 of these, just based strictly off how I like them, I mean, honestly, it doesn't have fan experience. When you look at all these, they're all domes, or they're all fixed or retractable, or so they're all controlled climate. So it's really not going to be a fan experience thing. It's more so just about which one you like the most, and I would go with, starting from 4 to 1, I would put Mercedes-Benz at number 4. It's definitely very unique with the way the roof opens, but just not my favorite overall. Very bland seating, kind of overall boring. At number 3, I would go SoFi. You know, again, it's kind of like the Costco factory of the NFL. It was made to host huge events, not so much regular season NFL games. Number 2, I'll say US Bank. They did a really good job with the exterior of it, and just overall, it's built very well. I like the seating alignment and the purple seats. And then at number 1, we're going to go with the Death Star Allegiant Stadium. The exterior, the circle look, the, colors. I love the Raiders colors. And then the interior, they did a really good job. Even the upper deck seems like it's relatively good seating. It's not like SoFi where the upper deck looks and feels miles away. So that is just my overall ranking on the ultra-modern stadiums. The Tennessee Titans Stadium going to be very similar to all 4 of these. That is going up in 2026. And then the Buffalo Bills, that one's going to kind of deviate a little bit because it will be open air. That one going up in 2026 as well. Those would be the next 2 NFL stadiums. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.